So let me get this straight.
Everybody's thinking.
Cleveland Browns fans cheered Deshaun Watson, their star quarterback, who has played like a fourth stringer when he suffered an injury. The same Cleveland Browns fans, to be clear, some, not all Browns fans, some, paraded posters and shirts with messages such as these supporting the embattled quarterback. That was, of course, until he was awful.
See, here's the problem, is that football players, we know that they're wired very differently. And they're speaking to the Deshaun Watson that they see in the locker room. And what they're incapable of doing, and what they didn't do, is that they're being, at the same time, very insensitive to the women that Deshaun Watson may have possibly assaulted, or women, period, who are looking at this like, I'm sorry, did he, when you call being accused of sexual misconduct, assault, abuse over 24 times, that is not a unique circumstance. That is not overcoming an obstacle. Those are situations and problems you, with your conduct, possibly created. That's a totally different story from what they're talking about.
And what is this in reference to?
I was taught to love no matter the circumstances, especially for people who do right by you. I'm grateful that I had a chance to serve Deshaun, but I am very upset with the reaction to a man that has had the world against him for the past 4 years, and he put his body and life on the line for this city every single day, regardless of your perception, regardless of what you thought should happen with him. He committed every single day that I've been here to be the best that he can be for this team.
Let's pause here. Is Jameis Winston the guy that you want lecturing all of us on Deshaun Watson, really?
Off the field, Winston on the legal offense, filing a countersuit against Erica Kinsman, the woman claiming the former Heisman Trophy winner sexually assaulted her in 2012. Kinsman filed a civil suit against Winston last month, alleging rape. Winston firing back in the countersuit, saying Kinsman has mounted a false and vicious media campaign to vilify Mr. Winston with the objective of getting him to pay her to go away.
I kind of just want to know, like, why me?
Erica Kinsman, a then 19-year-old Florida State student, explaining her story in the documentary The Hunting Ground. Now her attorney responding to Winston's countersuit, writing the counterclaims will place all of his prior misconduct and history front and center in the case by alleging injury to his good reputation.
And how did that play out? After Klinsman sued Jameis in April 2015 for sexual battery, assault, false imprisonment, and emotional distress stemming from a December 2012 incident, well, that case would get settled. Then also Florida State would settle their Title IX case with Klinsman that she filed. So that's 2 lawsuits right there because of Jameis Winston. Then in 2018, an Uber driver sued Winston for what she says went down in March of 2016. Current ESPN writer, formerly at the time, Jenna Lane would write, while waiting in a drive-thru at Los Betos restaurant in Scottsdale, Arizona, Winston leaned toward her and placed his fingers between her legs and pressed them firmly against her private parts over her yoga pants. She would send this text to her boyfriend with one reading, I just got you see the word, by the Tampa Bay Buck quarterback. She'd add, she was pretty shaken up, though he would deny it. An NFL investigation would take place over the span of about 8 months and concluded Winston engaged in detrimental conduct that night by touching the driver in an inappropriate and sexual manner without her consent, and that disciplinary action was necessary and appropriate. He would settle that suit as well. So again, this is the guy? Him? Really? It's 3 lawsuits, dude. 3. But you want to tell us about the moral high ground? I mean, mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. That is incredible. And let me also just say very quickly, I know that there are some people who saw the Billie Holiday clip that we did, related but unrelated, where I said R-worded instead of saying the full word. Let me be very clear. Because certain words can trigger anything in this algorithm, our video will get demonetized or disqualified, and then it limits the reach that we have to use. So when I say you see the word or M word or R word, just know I am playing by their rules. Anyways, here's more from Jameis Winston.
But the way I was raised, I will never pull on a man when he's down. But I will be the person to lift him up. And that, all of us have unique experiences. All of us have circumstances, conditions, and facts that we face every single day. And I pride myself in being a man of increase and being a man that wants the best out of everybody. I tell myself every morning, what I want for myself, I want for everyone. And I do not want the treatment that Deshaun Watson has received from these passionate fans. I know you love this game. When I first got here, I knew these were some amazing fans. But Deshaun was treated badly.
And yet, more players would speak on it, including...
No, like I said, no one deserves that. And I hate using the word deserves. I'm usually pretty consistent saying earned. He hadn't earned it, and he doesn't deserve it. No, man does pretty much everything right. He's been a model citizen through college and most of the pros. He plays the game as hard as anyone I've seen. Puts everything on the line, willing to throw his body out there, and he plays the game at 100 miles per hour. And there's a risk in being injured, and that he took that risk. But we have to be there for him as a team, as an organization. We can't look down on a guy because of any mistakes on the field or anything off the field. We don't have anything. We don't have any more high ground to look down on a guy.
Star defensive end Myles Garrett. And let me tell you, this is, in one word, rough. That was rough to hear. So, put rather well, I think, in retort to Garrett and Winston, whose former 670 The Score radio host, Danny Parkins, who was on Fox Sports 1 with the morning show's Craig Carton and Mark Schlereth. It's called Breakfast Ball. Here's what he said, and I thought this was brilliantly put. This whole thing and the reaction to it was embarrassing by Myles Garrett, by Jameis Winston, by fans, by the media. I thought no one did their job yesterday. This isn't complicated. Deshaun Watson was booed when he came out onto the field before the game. I researched it. I have that video. That is true. He got booed when he was introduced in player introductions. They had him on the big board. You could hear it loud and clear in that stadium. Browns fans are not happy with Deshaun Watson because he's been the worst quarterback in football. The worst. By far, bar none, the worst quarterback. When you sign a guaranteed contract for over $200 million, you expect him to be top 3. And he's last. He's been atrocious this season. Let's be very clear and honest and blunt about it. Parkins would go on to say, excuse me, they are not taking some sort of moral stand against Deshaun Watson's indiscretions off the field, which, make no mistake, it's 20-plus allegations of SA and misconduct and 20-plus settlements of SA and misconduct. More from Parkins. That is 1,000% true. NFL fans are not like, you did bad, I'm going to boo you now. No, they don't care. It's been very clear. They do not care unless you win. That's it. Hypothetically, if Ray Rice was a Hall of Famer and he had the Hall of Fame tendencies and he broke records prior to that, do you really think that he would get kicked out of the league? I mean, would I hope he would? Yeah, of course. But if he, surpassed LaDainian Tomlinson's record, right? Do you really think the Ravens would be like, got to take the moral high ground? I tend to think no. Because I have a track record and a history of proving it. More from Parkins. For Myles Garrett to come out and be like, he's been a model citizen for all college and most of the time in the pros. Most is doing some heavy lifting there, Myles. Because it hasn't been all of his time in the pros. Exactly, it hasn't. We have the same story over and over again. Serious allegations being made against Watson, where he clearly, it seems, from these lawsuits, has a fetish. So no, he hasn't been a model citizen. I'm sorry. No. Lastly, from Parkins, Jameis Winston. He put his life on the line. No, he isn't. He's playing football. I get that players do not want cheers or boos for an injured player. It's Totally understandable for teammates to be upset when fans react that way. But the media coming out and being like, oh my God, Jameis Winston's words were so powerful. No, they weren't. Defending Deshaun Watson as a guy is ridiculous. We got to not make Deshaun Watson into a victim here and a martyr like those guys were doing when there are actual victims in this case. That is exactly the point that I want everyone to take in. Because what these Browns players are doing is going to bat for their teammate, and I get it. That is going to happen throughout sports at any point in time because they don't want to have, for example, the domino effect of, yeah, you know what? He's been terrible for us. They should be allowed to boo. He also allegedly did those terrible things to those women. Like, what would the media firestorm be for that level of honesty from a player inside that building? Imagine the headlines. First off, that player would be out of a job. Unless it's Myles Garrett, who has longevity because he is a future Hall of Famer. Or Nick Chubb, because even though he's coming off an injury, Browns fans adore him and love him. So no, it's not going to happen. None of these players are going to, give us what we want, which is the brutal, sheer honesty of the situation, where we have some credible allegations being mounted against what was once, we thought, a fantastic football player. And now he's a shell of himself. As I look at it, I do agree with Parkins that kind of everybody's failing here. Not everybody, and not everybody in the media, but most. I mean, I'm seeing some of the headlines. Jameis Winston gives such a passionate speech about Deshaun Watson. That's bad framing. Because we also know of Jameis's past. We know of Deshaun's past. Calling him a model citizen, wrong. That's not something a model citizen does. Let's go over the Walter Payton Man of the Year awards. And let's try to find some common ground here on even what a definition is at this point. And again, I understand. You are going to bat for your teammate. I get it. We also have a right to fact check that and say why we disagree. And that's where I stand. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.